Here's a lesson on non-linear functions and how to graph them. So again, worst case scenario, anytime you have to graph something, you literally can make an XY table and plug some numbers in. Now you may have to plug in a lot of numbers in order to get the graph that you need. So this is a great example of that. So if we plugged in 0, we might get out, well, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. Plug in 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Absolute value is 2. And let's plug in 2 and see what we get. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Absolute value is 1. So if I start with that, I'm trying to graph it. 0, 1, 2, 3. 1 gives me 2. 2 gives me 1. I'm starting to think, hey, this is probably a straight line like that. But it's not. Because if you look at the equation, it's not in the same form as a line. So it's not going to be that same pattern over and over and over again. So we actually really have to focus on this type of graph and the inside of it. So this value right here, the value of x at 3 would make the inside of the absolute value 0. So the absolute value of 0 is 0. I don't have to do anything with it, so I get 3, 0. So there's that point. All right, that actually would be the center of my graph. After 3, if I plug in 4, 4 minus 3 is 1. Absolute value is 1. So my graph changes direction after the 3. So I get 4, comma 1. And I would get 5. Plug it in. I get out 2. 5, 2. As you can see, that pattern is going to continue in both directions. It's going to keep going upward and outward. So it's almost like two different lines stemming off of that one point right in the middle. This is what an absolute value graph looks like. Okay? So anytime you see the absolute value symbol, you should know that it's going to form some sort of V shape. Well, look at that. We've got another absolute value right here. So let's check it out. What makes the inside of this 0? And that would be 0. So if I plugged in 0, I would get out negative 2. Plug in 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1, minus 2 is negative 1. I'm going to do those points a little differently. Okay. Plug in negative 1. And we also get out negative 1. So you can see, hey look, there's our V shape. I'm going to commit to that being the correct graph. So it actually doesn't take that long. Once you find that middle point, you have one going in each direction from it. So that's absolute value graphs. Now, this is also a nonlinear equation because of the squared. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit to this. I'm going to put a 2 right out front here, or 3 right out front of that, just to mix it up. So it's 3x squared minus 2. So if I plug in 0, don't forget you have to square first before you multiply by that 3. So 0 squared is 0 times 3, still 0, subtract 2, negative 2. Let's try 1. 1 squared times 3 minus 2. 1 squared is 1, times 3 is 3, minus 2 is 1. Let's try 2. 3 times 2 squared, minus 2. That's 4, times 3 is 12, minus 2 is 10. So let's check this out. I'm going to get rid of some of this calculation stuff. So, oh, that's not very good. So 0, negative 2, way down here. 1, 1, 210. So if I drew a straight line through these two, I'll try again. It clearly would not go through this point up here. So it's definitely not a linear pattern. And if I graphed the line through these two, you can see that it wouldn't go through that point. So again, no one line is going to fit here. So maybe I should plug in some more points because it's not a V like the previous type of problem. So what if I plugged in negatives on this one? -1 and -2. So if I plug in -1 and I square it, I get 1, multiply by 3, and subtract 2, I get 1. And like plugging in 2, -2 would also give me 10. So really, I should have thought this out a little bit better, but my two values are going to be here at -1, 1, and -2, 10. And what really happens is kind of a curved U-shaped graph called a parabola. All right. And then this one is probably a little bit better because there's no 3 out front. Kind of the plan before was to not graph it with a 3. So let's do this with just -x squared plus 4. So let's do -2, same 5x values. So we're going to do x squared, and then we're going to take the opposite of that. So -2 squared is 4. Take the opposite, it's -4 plus 4 is 0. -1 squared is 1. Take the opposite, -1 plus 4 is 3. 0 gives me 4. 1 gives me 3. And 2 gives me 0. So there's usually some symmetry involved, and we have to find that symmetry here. In this case, at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and -1 both give me 3. And 2 and -2 both give me 0. So it's easier to see that this is a nice curved graph. And again, it's just another different parabola. And that's graphing a couple different nonlinear functions. Keep plugging in values till you see the shape and you're confident that that shape is correct.